Captain Jack here, doing something a little bit different for this episode. Today we're looking at Genesis Hidden Gems. Hidden Gems are games that you probably missed out on the first time owning or experiencing a system. In recent times, with the rise of the mini console, retro systems have been reduced to a handful of games that feature as a sort of greatest hits for that hardware. Although this is a great way to see a range of what that console has to offer, what if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty? Get in and play the games nobody's talking about anymore, the games you can brag to your friends about. Well, I've got a video for you, starting in 3, 2... Sunset Riders is a snappy, fun, Wild West themed romp I'm surprised I hadn't heard of before. Right away, the game hands out power-ups like they're candy, with the ability to dual wield and increase your bullet speed somehow. I don't know how that's physically possible though. I should also mention the other character with the shotgun gets 2 shotguns if you get that power-up, already off to a great start. It's also a way for me to slyly introduce that I actually have 2-player footage today, so yeah, I really pulled out all the stops for this episode. The shooting may be lightning, but the movement speed is almost faster, with the ability to jump between floors and a Mega Man-esque invincible dive move. Sunset Riders really makes the most out of its setting, with train chases, tribal encampments, and I think Spain. Yeah, you know, Spain. It's right by Utah. The levels are pretty quick too. The halfway point is marked by a helpless dame, and the end of every level has a colorful boss fight. From a good old boy who just wants to be buried in his money, to King Hippo's long-lost nephew who makes a Terminator reference, then does a perfect Olympic bone-breaking dive into the train tracks below. Even with these funny moments, there's just a general sense of quality here, which made it surprising to learn that this is actually a port of an arcade game. But just between you and me, the Genesis version is better. The color palette is just a little bit overblown in the arcade version, and although it lets you play with 4 players, the 2 extra ones are just clones of the first 2 anyway. You're not missing out on anything. Sunset Riders surprised me, and I bet it will surprise you too. Biohazard Battle is a shooter with a biomechanical theme. The look of the game is just absolutely amazing. Combine this with the otherworldly music and you have something that feels completely alien. That's really what sets it apart from the other shooters on this system. It's not metal on metal in space, no. You'll journey through damp jungles and deserted cityscapes, blowing up mantis crabs and killer bees. It's all insect steampunk. No, wait, insect punk. There are 4 characters or ships to pick from. The difference between them has to do with the power-ups you can get. See, there's 4 types of weapons: green, blue, yellow, and red, and they each change depending on the ship you pick. Grabbing the red power-up on 2 of the ships will get you a bouncing ring shooter, great for defense. While on the other 2 ships, it'll give you a homing attack, which might be the best weapon in the entire game. So you're gonna wanna pick the bug that has the weapons you like. Except the bubble gun, you can't like that, it's doo-doo. Although the levels are challenging in and of themselves, the bosses that cap them off are also memorable experiences. Not always in a good way. From big scary sea snakes, I'm not getting those 8 seconds back, to shit-caking shrimp. Come on, he just keeps caking himself in so much shit. But seriously, each of these levels are a trip to play through. Every second is good here. This game was actually developed by Sega, which is already interesting because of how strange the concept is, but it really makes you wonder why it wasn't in any Genesis collection in the last 15 years. Biohazard Battle is a classic that never was. And I still can't tell if everything's supersized or if you're just really, really small. Alien Soldier is absolutely crazy. Made by the same company that made Gunstar Heroes, you can really see the influence on this game. It's a crazy adrenaline-filled shoot-'em-up, chock full of extreme high-octane action. And it makes its older brother downright feel like a Kirby game. The Falco Captain Falcon love child protagonist is just the beginning of the insanity. This is a prime example of a late-era Genesis game that pushes everything to the absolute limit. From giant everything to crazy sprite rotations. Alien Soldier is basically a boss gauntlet with 24 different stages, each with a boss at the end. The stages barely even last a minute before you reach the boss, making this maybe the only game to have more unique bosses than regular enemy types. There's 6 different weapons you can take with you, and they're definitely not created equal. The homing attack is almost always the preferred choice, with some of the precision laser guns having niche uses. You can also pick the status window type for how you view health and ammo. And there's almost too many options here. You can pick between a standard bar, exact numbers, nothing if you hate yourself, or an experimental voice chat option where a guy just sort of estimates for you.
Alright, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him. He's low, shoot him, shoot him. Okay, he's dead.
Most of the fun in this game is just learning the attack patterns of the several bosses you'll encounter, one after another. The boss design here is great, and definitely the best part of the game. Highlights include a turtle samurai and a bloodthirsty giant metal wolf. The dash move here is essential, and if your gameplay looks like someone playing a spacey for the first time in Melee, you're doing something right. This is by far the rarest game featured here, being a Twilight release in the Genesis's life cycle, or should I say Mega Drive, as it was only ever released in Japan and PAL regions. Wait, you're asking me how I got the game? Well, obviously someone dumped the games off, at my house. And a bunch of other ones. Enough for me to make videos till the end of time. Never ask me that again. Alien Soldier is an amazing monster energy drink of a spiritual successor to Gunstar Heroes, and a great follow-up for anyone who liked that game. Gain Ground might be the most well-known game on this list. It's earned a spot on a few collections over the years, but it's somehow still obscure. It's not even a top 30 game for the Genesis, and I'm pretty sure the only reason it's on those collections is it was made by Sega, so they didn't need a license. It's hard to explain what type of game Gain Ground is. It's kind of like a top-down shooter, but it's much slower than that. It's more puzzle-like. This is definitely the type of game you have to play two-player. It just adds so much to the experience. Being able to coordinate and plan how you're going to approach the level in a very systematic manner if you want to live. You'll also have to pick characters that complement each other, as character types are one of the most important mechanics in the game. You'll be rescuing as many people from across time periods as you use them to fight the enemy, but some of them are more valuable than others. Highlights include Nordic Rambo here, who has a great balance of range and speed. Sunglasses is an extremely far-range tank, great for taking out bosses. And Rocket Man, well, you can guess what he does. But they can't all be great. The two Spear characters trade all their range for a tiny bump in speed that's barely noticeable, and the 80s Heroine has a grenade with a ridiculously small hitbox. But then there are okay characters like the Wind Samurai and the Boomerang Girls. You're just gonna have to hope for the best when using them. The characters aren't the only thing that spans the eras of time. The locations are also pretty varied, starting you out in prehistoric times and eventually having you reach a metallic dystopia. It's short and sweet, but Gain Ground is an example of a game that's easy to play but hard to master. Haunting starring Poltergeist is by far one of the most bizarre concepts to ever grace a Genesis cartridge. Your goal here is to terrorize a family of 4, and getting them all to leave the house finishes the level. You'd guess this makes you the bad guy, which is pretty bold considering not many games at the time put you in that role. But the game tries to assure you, no, this isn't the case. You see, they all deserve that. The dad's sleazy, the mom's whiny, the boy likes watching scary movies, the girl even likes the inventor of DDT? You mean dichloryl diphenyl trichloroethane? You mean the one that turns eagle eggs into omelets? You know what? Never mind. F these people. The family can't see you in your normal form, so you'll have to possess objects through these glowing icons called frightums, and there's 3 types. Blue frightums will set a trap that a family member can encounter later, orange frightums will let you activate a trap by pressing the A button, and green frightums let you possess an object and run around and cause havoc. Honestly, the best part of the game is just seeing all the different animations you can trigger here. Just seeing what you're gonna scar the family with next is worth the price of admission. But there's a real unevenness to the tone of these scares. You'll have the classic piano that plays itself, zany spaceships flying around, then suddenly that. Yeah, this game was obviously made before the ESRB rating system, and because it's on the Genesis, all bets are off. For every spinning rocket chair or flying billiard balls, there's a hand getting cut clean off, or a shit imp who just flings that nasty shit all over the goddamn room. There's 4 houses to clear, and each one gets bigger and harder. The dog gets added by the second house, who barks to make your timer go down even faster. And there's these little ghost guys that follow you around if you're in a room without a human. Then there's the people, and they just get more and more desensitized to what they've seen. It's a burnt body. Eventually, it's time for the ultimate showdown. You'll wander around the last house until you find the dog, who, in a twist, is the final boss. It's pretty tedious killing him, but once you do, you'll finally be brought back to life. Okay, he didn't deserve that. Like, what was the worst thing he forced the family to see?